Let's go through one of the quilts that has been in production for some time now. I think I started this. In fact, I know I started this way back in 2021 when I first started quilting. And this is called A Party of Six Quilt Along by Pat Speth. And this was a free pattern at the time. And probably for the time I was doing my quilting, it was quite an ambitious, I think she described it as an intermediate pattern and the blocks that we're working through. However, as a beginner quilter, I got myself into a good roaring run at it, and then it stalled. So the first, well, it's not the first because this is number 3, but you do 3 blocks, 3 of each of the blocks, and yeah, so I have got this one ready, which is beautiful, beautiful. I was quite impressed. I wasn't too concerned at that stage about getting my points right. If I got some of them right, I was impressed. Oh, that's the wrong partner. No, it's the same one. It's just that it looks quite different, doesn't it, with different positions of the fabric and different fabrics used. And then that one is that. So that's the 3. She gave them all, this is called the Alabama block. So you do 3 of each of the 6 different ones. And then you've got to do like a gazillion of these. I think there's about 17 that you've got to do, and I need to make 2 more. So these are like the joiner blocks that go in between. So these were a bit of challenge for me, but we're getting there on that. So I've got to make 2 more of these. And at the time I was using all the scraps that I had, and one of the reasons that I actually stopped working on it was that I actually ran out of scraps because I was only beginning quilting at this stage, and so I actually ran out of fabrics that would go together, so I had to, that's my excuse anyway. But 3 years later on, I'm picking the whole quilt up again to get it finished. So I've got 2 more of these blocks to make. I must admit, I did find this particular block a little bit boring. I didn't like it at first, but as time's gone by, I've actually quite liked this particular style of block now. So this is going to be super bright when it gets finished, and I must do it because it's been sitting around, like I say, since 2021. Then the next one that I'm going to show you is the block 4, and what you call this one, Azul block. So this one was finished. This has got this pinwheel effect, and I just find pinwheels just a bit of a challenge in my thinking. And again, my points are not perfect, but at that stage in my quilting journey, I didn't even know there was such a thing as perfect points. So we've got 3 of these blocks done, and these comes out quite nice. That looks good, doesn't it, with all the orange contrast and then the pinky one. The next block is Castles of Burgundy, and this one looks I quite like doing these stars. And do I think there's too many points on this one. Now this block, since when I've tried to make one again, I find it really, really hard because you stitch in these, you've got to do a half square triangle here, and then you stitch in these triangles onto the square. The point there is not too bad, that's a pretty good point. And then you stitch the other triangle on. It's a little bit of a mission, and I've had some disasters since I did this. I think with beginner's luck at the time I did this one, that I didn't actually realise how hard it was. So my points are not super brilliant on that one. But I'm beginning to learn about points. Oh, we got a bit of a gap on that one. But anyway, those are those particular blocks. This one is called the Casanome block, and that's what this one looks like. Again, we've got that blooming block in the middle, in the corners, that with the same sort of triangular thing going on. So this was quite simple. This is 2.5 by 5, and then you just put the corner thing on. Cornerstoning, I think they call it in the quilting world, and you've got this effect when you do that of creating the star points around the middle. And depending on how you do it, you get like a 3D effect coming out, which sort of achieved it there. And that's the different colorways. And that was a different colorways. And then the next one is this block, which is called La Havre. And this one was also quite nice. My points are getting better. Look, I'm learning nearly, and we don't have to do that corner block. So there's one of those completed, and the remaining two are ready to sew together. So I've got to get those done. And then you have to do this corner block, which is like the sashing around the edge of the whole quilt. And also this portion forms like the four corners of your quilt. And there's like 22 of those. So I've got to do 11 more and 4 corner blocks. And it's got my least favourite one. I'll show you in a minute. This particular part of the block I find a little bit painful. And then I've got to make 3 more of this one, which I think is going to be, it's got my favourite corner block in again, Drat. Yeah, so that is the party of 6, which is, I need to get it finished. I spent a session this week doing these. I had it already cut out, I just needed to sew it together, and now I've got to finish sewing it together. That will complete that 3. And then those are ready. Those are ready. Those are ready. And those are ready, apart from 2 more needed. And then these guys are ready. And then you stitch it all together. So the blocks, you place them randomly, and then this with the little triangles. And as you can see, it causes a little bit of a, there is a name for that, but I've forgotten. And then the border blocks that I've got over the other side, and the corner ones here. And then whether I make it bigger or not, I might just leave it like that and get it off to the quilter. And I think the size I chose to do, because the pattern, which you can buy now, the pattern was, I think mine is going to come out at that size, the one I chose. Yeah. So it shows her how to, she shows you how to piece them together. So great instructions. But as I say, when I started to do this, some of the blocks were quite hard. But watch this space as we get this one finished and get the top off to the long armour for her to make her magic. What do you think? Should I put a plain border just to frame the whole thing or not? Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the video.